So at the start of the afternoon, the first panels really have been long in the making. We've been trying to bring unique experiences and unique elements of the real estate development and real estate practice to our audience today. The next panel is about art and real estate, how we can use art in our real estate projects and how we create something which is both real estate and art for the greater good. And for that, I would like to briefly introduce my panelists, Levina Lee and Sarah Pringle from Art Partners, Kristine Lee from Henderson, and Yang Yu from Chelsfield. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I think we're going to try to wake everybody up after lunch with our amazing art images. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Levina Lee Cadman from Art Partners. Delighted to moderate today's panel on art and real estate, a value creation tool. We're going to focus on public art and discuss how art adds value to real estate projects and how it enhances its visibility. And also art helps define places and spaces, bringing communities together through common appreciation. Speakers will address concepts and strategies to deliver value through art by showcasing a variety of different real estate projects. I would like to take this opportunity to introduce our panelists today. On my right, I have Kristine Lee. She is the Deputy General Manager of Portfolio Leasing Department of Henderson Land, also the Executive Director of City Store Limited. Kristine helps oversees the group's investment properties and leads the launch of new investment properties in retail and asset enhancement properties for the group. Kristine also spearheaded the world's first vertical purpose art building called H Queens. H Queens was a real game changer for Hong Kong and the art industry. We at Art Partners are lucky enough to work with Kristine from 2016 during the pre-launch and leasing phase of H Queens, all the way up to 2017 and 18 to the launch phase of H Queens. Sarah will take us through a more detailed presentation on Henderson and its art projects. On the right of Kristine, we have Yu Yang on the panel, who is the Chief Investment Officer and partner of Chelsfield Asia. Before Chelsfield, Yang worked for Grosvenor since 2004, spearheading its investment and development in Greater China as the MD and Board of Directors. Yang has handled over $1.5 billion in real estate transactions in the region. We're also very happy to have worked with Yang and the Grosvenor team on the Event Horizon Public Art Project in 2015. Sarah will also elaborate on Chelsfield art projects in her presentation to follow. Last but not least, I have Sarah Pringle, who is my business partner on the panel, who will take you through an art presentation of our art projects and then drill down on the distinct projects that we have worked on with both Chelsfield and Henderson. After Sarah's art presentation, I would discuss first with Yang and then with Kristine on how the art projects have impacted their business and real estate projects. Now I'll hand it over to Sarah to introduce herself.
Okay, thanks, Levina. So I'm going to be showing you some examples of some public art projects that Levina and I have worked on over the years. Predominantly they're under our company Art Partners, but Art Partners is actually quite a new setup for us. We only opened Art Partners about 3 years ago. So some are just prior to that, and then the others with Henderson and Chelsfield will be under the Art Partners banner. But just before I start and show you that, I think it would make sense to sort of give a bit of context and a tiny bit of background of Levina and myself. I mean, collectively, we calculated about 40 years experience working in the art business, but we both come from very different backgrounds. I mean, Levina comes from very much a business background. She studied business, she worked in sort of corporates, mostly for business development, in Hong Kong and around the region. She joined Christie's as their business development for Asia. I believe that was, 11 years ago, and so has been working in the art business ever since. Now, I have a much more traditional kind of entry into the art world because I went to art school, I trained as an artist, I've worked with artists, I've worked for a lot of institutions, museums, as well as commercial galleries before we set up our own consultancy. I first worked in Hong Kong in 1994, British Council, post-handover, so collectively the two of us also know Hong Kong very well. So I think it's fitting to then start with the first project that we will discuss is arguably one of Hong Kong's largest ever public art projects. The project was initiated by the Very Hong Kong Foundation and then taken over lead by the British Council. It's really sort of timely to mention that because this project couldn't have happened without real estate support. It was the real estate community that came in as sponsors. Goodwin Gore from Gore Capital was very instrumental in getting that sort of sponsorship happening. Obviously Grosvenor, as we've discussed. And then Adrian Zheng from K11 came in as the lead sponsor. We also did have full backing from Carrie Lam, who was Chief Secretary at the time. So there's no question that without kind of that combination of the real estate community and then government support, we were able to make this project happen. Landlords like Daegun even, and then other government buildings and private buildings around the city. The reach of a project like this, and I have to kind of look at my notes to remind myself what the figures were, it was something like 160 million Hong Kong dollars worth of media coverage for a big public art project like that. So it's pretty significant. The next project I would like to talk about is one that we did for the Peninsula Hotel here in Hong Kong. This was a 4-year program that they had called Love Art. And Levina and I were both brought in as advisors for Royal Academy and for the hotel to put this project together. The most challenging aspect of this was the second year of this project, where we did a Richard Wilson installation where we took a 5-ton recreation of the bus from the movie The Italian Job that was filled with gold. We put it on hydraulics on top of the heritage building as it would sort of rock back and forth. Now, you all work in the real estate business, so understanding the approvals process of that was challenging, to say the least. But we did it, and like the Event Horizon groundbreaking project, you know, pushing the boundaries of the permissions to actually get art out into the public is something that we feel now we're becoming experts at. So the year after, we've got Michael Craig Martin. He's a fantastic educator, and that really fits in with the mission of Peninsula to really engage with the wider community in terms of contemporary art. So not only are we placemaking their building, if you like, and bringing people to the building, he's also going out and giving talks at universities, meeting art students here in Hong Kong, as well as giving talks to their VIP guests. The same with Conrad Shawcross. I don't have a picture of Conrad, which I probably should do. He got a lot of media coverage just himself. He had a very challenging artwork, and you know, again, we got a lot of media coverage, but we brought in school tours and did education programs actually in the hotel as well. So the next one I'll go on, sorry, whizzing through, Swire Properties. I mean, Swire already have a reputation for supporting the arts. They have art in pretty much all of their buildings. They're known for supporting the creative industries. But the challenge that they set art partners was to link somehow the Art Basel sponsorship that they had with their lounge there, and how we would actually create something that connected the Art Basel crowd, but was relevant to the shopping mall, their flagship Pacific Place. So what could we do that was going to be great for people visiting Pacific Place, for commuters using the MTR every day, but also tap in with the art world? And so the first installation that we installed for them was one by an artist, Julius Pop. He's created this really unusual art piece which taps into trending words on news feeds around the world. It's an unusual algorithm that he's created, and then they make a waterfall of words. So it's not only is it two big shipping container-like structures with a waterfall, which is just sort of engaging in itself, but it's got that other layer of interaction where you've got it tapping into what's trending at the time on social media and on the news. So that was a great success. It was very difficult to walk out of the MTR on your way to work and not stop and look and engage with this work. So the following year, obviously, something that was immersive, something that was engaging. We used Jim Lambie, who had been creating these works in museums and institutions. This was the first time we persuaded him to do something out in a kind of public commercial venue. And this was a really immersive work. Again, you couldn't walk past this work without somehow literally becoming part of it. You've got these mirrors in the ladders, people are reflected back. And so that obviously draws a lot of attention. You get a lot of course, Instagram buzz because people want to have their photographs taken with this. And again, a lot of sort of media attention because it's a museum type artwork, but it's out in a commercial space. Which leads us on then to Chelsfield's community projects that we did. And I think we have a video, so the best thing I can do is actually...
My name is Camille Molala, and I'm in Hong Kong to work on the project for Warpu. Just in this area, we're just going to do like a big mural, it's like 54 meter. And yeah, so just arrived like a few days ago to work on it. I think the concept was like quite inspired by the neighborhood and like the architecture of the city. So like the idea is like to bring some kind of like color and joy in the streets. It's going to be redeveloped. So yeah, to bring something a bit fresh and new. I feel like I'm really inspired by Hong Kong. I just love the buildings and the color you can see around. Mostly like the markets or like little details of like, for example, the kindergarten like pattern around it, or like little fruit shop, which is like really colorful.
Now that was a small clip taken from a Tatler video that they made. I'm just going to now show you actually the finished work, and that's part of a program that was done for Now TV. So obviously a lot of media for something that really is. It's a renovation project in North Point, so we've managed to make it newsworthy.
I just love the architecture. I think the buildings are completely crazy here, like amazing height, and I love the fact they're all colorful, full of color in the city.
成幅壁畫長超過54米，高4米，可以分為13幅組件，花咗大約10日時間，同6名嘅本地藝術家聯手製作，係區內罕有嘅大型藝術裝置。而作品擺放外牆幾個月之後，會分為小型藝術品喺商場內展覽。
I just think like it's really nice the way they want to do it with bringing the community together, and it's going to be some nice kind of like area to kind of hang out and just enjoy themselves.
Right. I think the key thing about this work for us is Chelsfield could have easily done something that's just decorative. It's fine. They do a nice printed hoarding. It looks very nice. But what they wanted to do was have painted panels. And the reason for this is twofold. One, you're actually then working with a whole bunch of young local artists. They were working together with Camille to create these paintings. And the second and most important thing is they will all be reused afterwards. And they'll be reused in all of these kind of back of house, dead areas that are linking the residential units above the retail environment. It's the corridors to the car parks. It's the kind of non-commercial areas. And what you're doing is then you're improving the environment for the residents of that community, making it look better, kind of giving something back. Also, while we were there, as I said, Camille's working with a lot of local artists, and she also did an artist talk at Oil Street, which is only just a few minutes away from the development. So again, it's kind of making sure that you're trying to sort of engage with your wider community in that renovation process. Yang, I'm sure, and Levina will discuss more the kind of figures and the results from doing this kind of art project. There's a lot of facts and figures there, but I'll let you discuss that. So now moving on to the Henderson projects. As Levina said, we were brought in day one to work with Kristine and her team on this groundbreaking building designed by William Lim, specifically for the art community. And so before, the building's just in the construction stage. And so what we did was it had to be more than just decorating the hoarding. It was actually engaging with the Hong Kong art community. And we felt that by doing that, that was sort of actually doing something that just had a bit more substance to it. So we worked with 8 emerging Hong Kong artists and gave them a whole area on the side of the building. We also had the front at Queen's Road and then the corridors back, which were given to more senior artists, Lam Tun Pang and the Frog King. You know, they're both quite well-known figures in the art community. And I think then the opportunity for the young emerging artists to also be curated in a show, which was then at Art Basel, was obviously a fantastic opportunity for them. And also great for Henderson in the way that it gave them an excuse to start connecting with would-be tenants. Again, these figures, Levina and Kristine can discuss, but I believe it was things like, you know, $44 million worth of media. That's just, you know, before the project's even been opened. So that's obviously fantastic for their leasing team. The second year, you've got the building is being built. You've got most of, you know, at least I believe half the tenants were in, if not more. But you've still got to make this building relevant and connect to the art world. You know, people need to know this is a destination on Queen's Road. So we put a massive big video screen and showed an exhibition, if you like, of video works that was curated by some of the galleries that had already moved into the building. So you've got the fantastic Team Lab, Golden Wave, you've got videos from European artists, from Chinese artists, and this is playing along. Again, it's connecting, you're doing something that the public can enjoy, but something that's really placemaking your building and activating it even before it's opened its doors. Again, you've got your media figures, Levina, I'll leave you to discuss that. Of course, you've then got continuous reasons for people to be talking about your building. So then the building's open, and we've got Henderson quite smartly decided they would keep one of the units open. They would have it as a pop-up space. The advantage of doing that is, of course, you're activating that space the whole time. Obviously, there's a premium for space in Central, so you know, economically, it's still going to make sense. But then what was something that was close to Henderson's heart was also, again, continuing that relationship between the art community. And so you're able to do that. People like Not Parasite, non-profit organizations are able to, you can give the space for free. You know, the UOB exhibition, Sovereign Art Foundation, all of these are able to kind of host their events in your space. Again, it's activating the building, it's driving traffic. So Kristine, I'm sure, can talk a bit more about that afterwards. Again, publicity, because everybody doing the pop-up is also working hard to highlight their events. And this brings us on to another big public art project that Art Partners initiated together with our partners, the Hong Kong Art Centre. Now, Henderson were fantastic to jump in as the lead sponsor for this. And I'll show you again another video because it'll be better to give you a feel of the event. Yeah, so as I said, Henderson came in as the lead sponsor, and for them, as they said, this is really a way for them to be recognised as a patron of the larger ecosystem in Hong Kong. And you know, a project like this, which had real phenomenal outreach, and that I have to say was in part due to Jockey Club funding of a very extensive education program. So we were then able to have a reach which was calculated at over 900,000 people engaged in some way in this event, whether it was just going to the park itself. Obviously the harbour is a very busy area, but also attending our workshops, schools programs, conference that we organised. And so, this is something that obviously, sponsors like Henderson see a great value in being attached to. A third of the artists in this project were also from Hong Kong. And that to us was very important, because what you're doing is you're giving this international platform to your young emerging Hong Kong artists. And hopefully we'll be doing the Harbour Art Sculpture Park again very soon. Again, media coverage was pretty phenomenal for this. So our PR company tells us we have 884 articles, interviews, TV, media, and they estimated that the reach of that was 1,716 million people reached. So, it's obviously a very successful public art event. Now, to finish the presentation, I will just end on the most recent Henderson project that we're doing. And I would hope that you have seen this on your way in, but if you haven't, please, when you are in Daegun, in the courtyard, look up, and this is what you should see. One of the things that we art partners certainly loved about this project, and Henderson loved about this when we brought it to them, is the kind of layers of engagement when you're working with an artist creating a work like this. Of course, it's a 14-metre golden monkey. It looks fabulous. That's wonderful. But it actually comes from a 20 years worth of work that Lisa Roa, the Australian artist, has been doing mainly with primates, and she works with scientists and researchers all around the world. And for her, she's very passionate about this, and it's creating her artwork to give an environmental message. It's about the endangered species, it's about climate change. So again, Henderson have then got this chance to sort of highlight their building, which is great. You're getting, again, of course, you're getting a lot of people taking photographs, you've got a lot of people noticing the building. But then it was part of Business of Design Week, talks program. We're able to kind of give all of these, Lisa's giving all of the talks about the work. And I think it's just those layers of messages that's been very important for our clients. So I think on that note, ending with we were very fortunate to do the Daegun opening program, the artwork. So on that note, I'll hand you back to Levina.
Thank you so much, Sarah, for the presentation. Now we're going to turn to our panelists to get more insight from them as developers about the actual benefits of these art projects. So Yang, we were really, really excited to get the Now TV coverage of the Woeful Arcade renovation, and also with the media reach of 3.9 million in the bag for the overall project. How do you think the public art project at Woeful supported the brand positioning and also the visibility in the media for the project?
Well, for us, engagement with the local community is always a very important part of a branding strategy, as well as placemaking process. So therefore, that for Woeful, and public park is always a very instrumental part of it for the for the whole process. For Woeful, our vision is to recreate the hub for the local community, and so therefore that the work of Camille as well as the 6 local artists has really perfectly echoed what we want to do, the vision that we're trying to create. And we're very, very happy with the result as well. As you mentioned that we've got roughly about 4 million of media reach, and 100% of the media coverage was actually positive. So,
That's a great result,
great job,
right?
yeah.
and for a renovation project as well. I know that Camille Walala walked around North Point for days, you know, taking photographs of the neighborhood, the buildings, the colors, and then she incorporated all of this colors of North Point into the mural, the 54-meter mural. Do you think the residents of Wolfu appreciated the public art and can identify with it?
Very much. We got huge, I would say, support from the local community. There's no complaint because obviously it was a little bit disturbance because all the murals has to be installed during evening time. So it took us 6 nights to install all the mural, and every single night there were crowd gather and showing support. So it was very, very supportive. And also at the same time, I would just say that, you know, for the locality, some of Camille's work will remain as public installments within Wolfu, so they will become a part of the North Point.
It was great actually because we were painting outside the local kindergarten at Wolfu. So not only did everybody show up every night to see the development of the mural, the kids were also really involved in, you know, going to school and actually seeing us again after they get off school. So that was great. I know that it was really important for Wolfu to also connect with the artistic and creative community in North Point. Now, there was also an educational element of the project. Can you please describe the artistic exchange between Camille and the 6 local artists?
Yeah, this is something that, you know, we kind of like when we designed a program, we really insisted there's got to be a local collaboration element for the whole process, for the whole program. So therefore, that, you know, Camille has worked with 6 local artists to basically work on the mural, where she shared quite a lot of the experiences and the practices. So I think it was very, very much appreciated. And also we tried to connect. We connected with the North Point local art community by really having Camille to give a lecture as well as art talk at Oil Street Art Center, which is only about 2 blocks away, you know, from the property, from the site. Therefore, that, you know, again, I think that for us, the collaboration as well as inspiration is just very important. One of the very important goals for us to achieve.
And I know that sustainability is a really important focus for you in this project. So can you explain a bit about that to the audience?
Yes, as Chelsfield, we campaign sustainability. It's a core part of our philosophy. So that, you know, when we look at the entire program, which is obviously the mural, which is essentially a hoarding, we're like, you know, how can we extend the life of the hoarding? Because we don't just want it to be taken away and thrown away as garbage. So essentially what we're doing is that after the mural hoarding is going to be taken off, we're going to reframing all these canvases as basic art pieces, and we will keep these art pieces throughout Wolfu. So really extending the lifespan of these art pieces.
And the last question, I think the one that the audience will be really interested in is, can you share with us how the public art project helped the business development of the project?
Yeah, I wouldn't put a dollar sign on how much benefit that we've got it. But I would say it's very, it's very much appreciated by the local residents, because within 5 minutes walk, we've got 65,000 people living in the local community, and we can clearly see that, you know, the local residents actually has appreciated this piece of art. And also at the same time is that, you know, when we are trying to reach out to our tenants, because again, it's a very important decision for the tenant to make. You know, it's a pretty high value decision for them to make, to open an outlet in a property which is being repositioned, and also it's not even completed. It's not easy, but I think the art, you know, the work that we've done, it communicates perfectly of the vision. It helps us to communicate the vision, and also we've seen that, you know, we have inspired quite a lot of enthusiasm from the potential tenants as well. So I think that will be the most important benefit that we've got. From the program.
Thank you very much, Yang. We'll get into Q&A later with you. Just a quick note that if you haven't seen the 54-meter hoarding, it is up until mid-May at Wolfu and North Point, so go and see it. Now we have the next speaker, which is Kristine. And Kristine, I know that many people may not know that you also support a lot of public art outside of your properties. And we want to highlight your contribution as the lead partner for the Harbour Arts Sculpture Park, bringing public art and the sculpture park to over 949,000 visitors last year. So in your view, how does the public art affect the community? And what is the role of the real estate developer as stakeholders?
So it's actually been quite a journey for us in our involvement in public art. From the start, we knew that we wanted to be part of a patron of the ecosystem because that was the audience that we were addressing. And we were building the hub where all these people would be gathering and exchanging ideas about art and creativity. So as you saw in the slides, from year one of development, where it was just a construction site, we were already thinking of how to communicate this message in the most meaningful way of involving our target audience and also our potential users. So we, did the huge hoarding where it was mainly on placemaking and, more excitement and noise on the streets, to year two of construction where we already built the basic superstructure and the facade. So we were making use of the prime street and also built a huge TV and I think what was really interesting was that we were able to also involve our first batch of tenants to showcase what they were doing best, which is their piece of art. And so we invited them to showcase their digital art onto Queensville Central through our huge digital TV screen that we built. And then to the third year where we participated in the Harbour Arts Sculpture Park, and this was where we were able to give the opportunity to our tenants to bring their sculpture pieces outside of not just H Queens, like into the city and be involved in that. And I think the tenants, they were still setting up shop, but then they really appreciated that they were able to build the presence in Hong Kong along with Henderson in a great, citywide project.
Great, and as we just went through, this is now your fourth year. So how does Henderson sustain its art and culture initiatives?
So this year we also have our public art program going on, and this is back in our own building where we have a very exciting staircase exhibition project. So every year during Art Basel, we receive crazy traffic flow in the building. We have over 50,000 visitors over the 6 days in Art Basel, and that causes a lot of strain on the whole building management and the traffic flow. So we actually invited very famous local and regional artists to build out an installation on all the common areas in the building, in the lobbies, in the transit areas, in the staircase interchange, to encourage people to walk through the whole building. And so besides the tenanted areas, we also have, our own landlord program going on. So we really want to give a whole comprehensive experience of art for everyone. And so besides the public art, I think it's also important to not just hit during Art Basel, but to have something sustaining throughout the whole year. So we've started our own internal team, HEART, which spearheads all our partnerships with the local NGOs that are dealing with art. And also, we have a small art residency project in Kennedy Town where we're basically supporting a lot of local artists and grooming them in their own artistic practice and their future careers.
Great. I think the 50,000 people going through can get some exercise at the same time at the back staircase.
Sure.
How can you share with us how the public art projects at H Queens has helped with the business development and the leasing of the property?
So I think the fact that we are participating with a lot of investment and also efforts in not just public art, but all this joint marketing and a close relationship with our tenants really solidified their trust in us as a landlord, and not just a landlord, but someone who is very vested in what they're interested in as well. And a funny story, when we were doing our leasing, we were basically reaching out to all the galleries that we had connections to, but also cold calling a lot of galleries that were out of town or international galleries that we didn't know. So in particular, there was one Japanese gallery where we left a ton of voice messages, but he never got back to us. And then so came Art Basel week, and we had that crazy hoarding in Queensville Central. And I think because it was just so out of the ordinary that he recognized that, oh, this must be, the building that I received so many messages on, so we got a call back from him. So definitely does build, some connections there and more touch points with the people that we're reaching.
Yeah, that was interesting, right? We signed it in 48 hours, which was a record. So I guess lastly, because we're directly in front of the gigantic 14-meter golden monkey installation, which I hope all of you will see or have seen during the lunch break. In the case of the golden monkey installation, what was the impact on the positioning of the brand new H Code building?
Yeah, so that's a very fun project where the Golden Monkey is even more famous than the building H code itself, because we haven't really done much marketing or launched the building officially yet. So it's on social media, and we're really glad on how it's been like a hype and everyone's talking about it, especially from the great views from Daegun. So I think it really also resonates to who we're trying to reach out to. We're trying to build a very hip building that's very lively from the day to the night. The people that we're talking to who will tenant the building are all young entrepreneurs who have their own businesses, who have their own eateries, their own coffee shops, and when they come for a site visit, they see like what we're trying to do, and they're even very encouraging and curious, and like, why can't so can I actually do something like that when I open my shop here? And I think it's a really good way again to connect and engage the people who will be using our building.
Yeah, and I think the fact that the monkey has been there, now will be there until April as well, will also get the attention of the international art crowd coming through at Art Basel as well. So great reviews on that. Now, enough from our panelists. We're just wondering if there's any questions from the audience. In terms of government permitting, we are always challenged. When we worked with Carrie Lam for Event Horizon, which was 27 sculptures on top of buildings and 4 on the street, we had to go through 14 different government approvals. So that is the same as building a building, really. And even Carrie Lam said in the public opening that there should be a better way than this. But it promoted all the government departments to work together. And currently, Sarah and I are in the process of working with West Kowloon to develop a public art department within the government, which I hope will facilitate projects like, on the harbour front, like the Harbour Art Sculpture Park. If we have a public art department to go to, then we only have to go to one department, so which would be great.
It would be good, wouldn't it? I think it would be good to have more public art. But also, I think it's actually the temporary public art is also great. You don't necessarily have to have something that's there the whole time. I think it's a fantastic way to kind of activate space, to put something that is very kind of engaging. People can experience art, but they don't necessarily have to live with it the whole time. So I think the sort of temporary place for public art, as Levina said, not that we would want to encourage any more bureaucracy, but I think to avoid us having to use the established bureaucratic system, it would be great if we could have somewhere where we could go and actually just get a permission for temporary public art or permission for art, so that then you're not having to go through the full BD process, which is essentially what you have to do at the moment. When Levina said it's like building a building, it is. It's a full BD submission. And I don't have to tell you today, you're all in real estate, you know what that means. So like for the lady's question earlier, yeah, of course, it's incredibly challenging. You have to put a full BD submission in for something that's only temporary. It's challenging. It's very challenging.
We do have a monumental sculpture going up in Central, but we can't really tell you exactly the site, and it will be up in a year's time, so stay tuned.
We hope, yeah.
So just in closing, I would like to thank the panelists and the speakers, and also to thank the audience. And just to do a quick recap. So what we're hearing here is that art and culture can drive a positive social impact, I guess creating meaningful spaces for tenants and residents, and also increase reputational benefits by creating a distinct image for the real estate development. And then I guess at the very end, to drive economic benefit, because art-led regeneration encourages people to visit and revisit, creating places that people want to live and places where people want to work. So on that note, thank you very much.